Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and we have what I could only describe as the start of a fight that is happening here in S2-1. This is the first merged kingdom going into Season 2 that we have seen thus far, and we have a nice little beginning skirmish here that is going on between VM-0, RK-0, TM, and I believe TM02 here at one of the choke points in Enogad, which is one of the starting zone ones here at essentially kind of a northeast, I guess a central north to southern to southeastern. And again, we'll show you that a little bit here after we get some of the initial goodies out of the way. We're also just going to go ahead and lower a little bit of our render quality, hoping that if we kick it at 1, a little bit of a higher chance, hopefully, that we do not end up seeing our homeboy, Hector El Super Grande, if you guys know what I mean. All right. So here we are, VM, RK-3. Lots of ranged archers that we're seeing right now. Look at that little Veln. We got some Waldir, some Lilias, got some Nikos up front, Kanara, Guanwing, got that Theo for the flying. Frager running up close. TM02, a decent spread that we're seeing here, right? One of the things that we often talk about when you're seeing or you're having a lot of fights that are happening, typically in the open field, is we want to make sure that we're kind of noticing and paying attention to good positioning. So being able to see these things where TM02, again, this is the thing, right? You're kind of fighting along this thin choke point that you can kind of see right here. And the idea really being, and we've seen these types of things happen before, where one of the strategies is really, ooh, gosh, massive shadow games going on there, double negatives, time bomb, another shadow games being thrown down, that burst strike, counter shadow games, oh my gosh, multiple negative purples that are going on right now. That was sick. Divine Mercy getting a little bit of that shield getting thrown down, double shadow games once again. Divine Mercy, burst strike getting thrown down, that shadow games once again up there for the top north going down south. Oh gosh, just so many skills. Another time bomb being thrown down right around here. One of the great things, I'm always happy when there's the least amount of lag possible, because then we're able to see where that damage is being inflicted, not only for just the negative reds that we're seeing, where kind of DPS is being distributed, but also when we're able to see where that artifact damage is kind of being centralized from one side or the other. Earth and Judgment getting thrown down there. Another burst strike getting thrown. Now, it's kind of evening out, right? Usually, ooh, gosh, nice shadow games there. It looks like hitting up to 3-4 units, that cleansing charm. This is usually where now you're kind of, right, that initial artifact was used. We'll probably see one here in about another minute, minute and a half as those cooldowns are on. But this is typically where, if you're VM-RK3, you have a good amount of replenishment here from your kind of staging area. Now this is where you want to spread out from this tree line all the way here, right? We often talk about when you have a lot of units on the field, making sure that you're arcing yourself appropriately. So that way you're able to kind of spread out the amount of potential AoE damage that your opponents can be inflicting on you, therefore being able to do more on them. So you could even say, hey, well, maybe VM-RK3 are going to try and bait a little bit and just disengage enough to where it pushes TM02 through the choke point. This is really what you want to happen, right? But the thing is that they could be setting up a little bit better here, where again you're spreading from here, kind of like that, right? Think about making an arc or kind of a crescent moon, and then you're again spreading out, reducing the amount of AoE damage that's being able to be inflicted on you. And then if you have any flying, right, you could be seeing some flanking happening. I don't really know if there's a lot of that. We are seeing some decent replenishment here though from TM and TM02, so this is not bad. I think we saw Ghost out there. There was a few other people too as well. Let's see. Cesarin, there's our boy. Let's see if there's anyone else. Ooh, there's our boy Duzzers just hanging out over here, though. I don't know if he was fighting. Maybe we missed it or not. Lord Forger, what's up? There's our Kyle Sid. Nice, nice, nice. Now, right here, right? This is a great example of you have a few units here. You have good replenishment coming up here from the supply lines from VM and RK. This is where you focus fire, right? So you're essentially looking to pick off like this, his Papa. So you're focus firing this while trying to stay at max range. Same thing, right? Now, whether that alliance is using markers in a way where they're saying, hey, we're going to designate this group or these units that are kind of overextending a bit, and we're going to focus fire them down and then kind of start pushing up, right? The idea is for those of you that play League of Legends, right, this is kind kind of where the poke game comes in. So you're either using mages, flying, right? You're trying to kind of max out your distance and your range, maybe some DPS with archers too as well, and making sure that you're staying at max range, spreading out, and then inflicting as much damage as possible. Nice shadow games being thrown down there right from Invictus, right? At least hitting, it looks like 2 to 3. Counter time bomb being thrown down, looks like from Royce there. Now, usually when time bomb is thrown down, you typically want to try and move out of range, so you're just, again, not hitting multiple, because you're hitting up to 3 for there, if you're including the hit on the unit that actually has the bomb on them. And typically you're trying to spread out and just branch off a little bit, right? So you end up just reducing the amount of overall damage that's going to be inflicted. So now kind of getting a little bit of replenishment, and looks like kind of going back to their sides now, a little bit of staging. Again, right here, right? Kibo, kind of prime for the taking. This is where you're looking at those opportunities and saying, and this is the thing, you have good numbers, right? I mean, it's not as though this is a small force. You could still go ahead and push up a couple of them, even if it's just 3, 4, 5, just getting those nice ratio advantages. So that way, again, you're picking off a unit, and it's like every unit, it's almost like collecting pennies, right? You collect 1,000,000 pennies, that's a decent amount of money, right? And so it's kind of looking at it from that approach, which is, you know, even if you're just picking off one at a time, it's still that much less units that you're going to end up having to deal with in the long run, right? So every little bit counts. And you can kind of see where we're at now, right? Let's zoom out a little bit. So you have RK-0, and then we have VM-0, right? So you have the blue and the red, and then purple, you got TM, the monster, and then we got TM02. Let's look at what some powers are real quick here from them. I think we might be able to look at that now. So here's just a little bit of some personal power that we got here in S2-1, right? The first Season 2 Merge Kingdom. Our boy Does are sitting at top. We got Miol from TM here at 103. You got Ghost at number 3 here at 86. We got RK-0, and this is kind of evenish, right? I mean, you got 1 and 4, 2 and 3, and I mean, the numbers are close, right? You got a 9 mil, 8.5 mil, right, gain from 1 to 2. Ghost has about, what, a 3.2 mil from 3 to 4. So, I mean, decent when you're looking at it from that. RK-TM, maybe we'll do some deep dive numbers and just kind of see where we're going. Merits aren't really up yet. Let's look at, we can't look at Alliance Power, but we can look here. So TM, let's see where they're at. So they're at 3.66 billion right now. And then we got wherever, so let's look at TM02. They're at 3.08 billion. And we have to find TM. Oh no, hang on, was that it? Yeah, so that was TM. So we need to find VM and the others. Where are they at? Here we go. So 2.47, 2.5 bill, and then RK-0. They're at 3.7. Okay, so it isn't too far off, right, of a matchup when you're just kind of looking at it like that. Let's go ahead and continue our scouting here, if we may. We're trying to be as diligent as we can. Because I still feel as though, what I ended up doing, right, so I have this account that I leveled, I think I'm at 20 or something, and this was my original S2 account that I was playing, and I thought to myself, man, this is so great that at least, I may even consider continuing to level it, maybe if I can get it to 25 over a period of time, but it's perfect for just being able to go in, and what I can do with it is I can just keep resurging, because I don't really care about the troops or anything like that, I can just kind of keep training them over time every once in a while when I log in, so I can kind of get around the level 1 passes opening, right? So it was nice because I started off over here in Sclera, and there's not really too much, I think. I don't know if GRZ and UWS are really doing anything here. Let's see. It doesn't look like it. And then if we go over, we have a minute 2 as well. Howl, I don't know if Howl and Unit, I don't think they're fighting. Doesn't look like they're extending over there. And then we have KONS, they got the bear. I don't know if these guys are building towards each other. Let's see. Doesn't look like it. Don't know where. Okay, so they're not building south for any reason. So it looks like they probably will be okay. And then we got POLS. Let's see here. Oh, it's gaming over Meow Effects. You guys are so violent, man. Let's see here. Yeah, there's RK. I think GOD is building around this edge, or they might have just got this flag up. Okay, they did. Yeah, they just finished this flag, so they'll probably start building another one here shortly, I would imagine. And then we still don't know where TA is, but I would imagine they're somewhere over here, unless they ended up going to a different zone. EH, yeah, we just have to keep scouting. I'll have this cleared in a little bit, so okay, let's go back, see if there's any action that's continuing. And even if not, hey, that was awesome just to at least get a little bit here in S2-1. So also, let's take a look at the kingdoms. This is a big one. I think this was the one we had about 15. So you have 1 through 10. So you got 10 kingdoms there, plus 22 through 26. You got 15 kingdoms that are here in this S2 merged -1 group. Now, you know, usually I would say, I don't know how to say usually, I mean, that's a lot to me, right? Where you have 15 kingdoms that are specifically in one merge group. Now, there's a few ways of looking at this, right? Where you can say, okay, well, there's not enough activity in some of the kingdoms that kind of warrants all of them being paired together. However, you can also make the argument, and you can say, well, why didn't they just take the 4 strongest kingdoms in those groups and just pair them together, and then pair the other one, the next strongest 4, and then the next strongest 4? Or why didn't they do 5, right? Why did we have to do 15? And this, to me, the reason I just don't think it's sustainable, because what's going to happen eventually as you continue, because you have to understand, a factor for why they're doing that in the first place is because of player drop-off, is also because of the fact that players have either just stopped playing, they've quit the game, or they've migrated at some point, right? So it kind of all really ties into that universal stance of what player drop-off is. And so if it, and the idea is like you have a full cup of water, right? Or here, I'll give you an example. So here's my cup of water, right? The idea is if you poke a hole here, a tiny hole at the very bottom, or at the very, very bottom, is that you're constantly draining. So through things like migration, through things such as finding players that are maybe in lower ranked alliances, you're constantly filling the cup right back up, but it's always constantly being drained. So if this is something that will never stop happening, what are you eventually going to have? 50? 30, 40, 50 kingdoms all in one merge group? It's just not sustainable to have that many. Like, I understand, yes, you could technically do it, but to me, it almost feels as though the better approach is to either do something such as like a pure merge, where you're basically taking 2, 3, 4 very inactive kingdoms. And an example would be, let's say these kingdoms have 100, 150 active players in them, right? Well, you combine them all, and all of a sudden you have, what, 5, 6, 700 active players? Like, that doesn't seem as though that's a bad deal, right? And then what you can do is, like, let's say, for example, there's some players that don't want to merge. Okay, well, maybe you give some of the players an out, right? Maybe you give them, you know, like, again, if it's been a while, you could say, for example, we're not going to do merges with inactive kingdoms or low activity kingdoms until maybe a certain amount of time has gone through or has elapsed, right? So maybe you say, right, we won't consider doing merges until kingdoms have been active or have at least had 6 months of lifespan, as an example, right? And we're just theoretically saying this. And then from there, you would say, okay, well, we have these 4 kingdoms that have about 100, 150 players each. They've at least been up and running for 6 months plus. Right, let's do a merge with them. We'll let everyone know in advance. However, if some of these players want to migrate out, we'll give them the opportunity to do that. And we'll just, like, maybe you open a window. You'll say, hey, we'll open a window similar like this. We'll give you guys 3 days, and you can migrate to these kingdoms if you do not want to merge here. So you're kind of giving people the best of both worlds. Personally, I would really like to see that rather than having just a bunch of dead, I don't want to say dead, but just low activity kingdoms where, you know, it's just those people, right? I would never want to play in a kingdom with just 50 people, right? Or just 100 people. Like, yes, you can make the argument that those individuals, or some of those individuals who are maybe at the top, are benefiting from being able to win SLEs, being able to win other particular events that might be more spender or just top player friendly, who are really competing because they have less competitors now. You can also make the argument that, well, maybe there's no war that are happening in some of those kingdoms, so they're able to develop a bit more. But you can still have those things in higher active kingdoms. My overall point is that doing something like that, whether it end up being merging low activity kingdoms, or if it's giving more migration options beyond just the merge or the KVK groups, I think those are things that we would maybe like to see the direction go in. So that way you're not just kind of stuck in those situations if you do not want to be. Because really at the moment you don't have that many options. If you are in a low activity kingdom, it's not as though you have all or a plethora of choices of kingdoms that you can migrate to. And even on top of that, for some of the players that are there, they may just not even know what migration is or how to migrate. I mean, there's a lot of factors that really go into it. And so, you know, again, I don't want to do too much of a TED Talk / deep dive on how you really kind of pull kingdom-wide resources to make sure that every single player is really being looked after, because it takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of manual labor where you actually have to go out and do a lot of outreach to players that are in a kingdom in order to really try and kind of, you know, scrape the bottom of the barrel, if you will, when it comes to just, like I was saying, player outreach and trying to get as many players engaged and converted into participating and really engaging within the kingdom. But it also depends on if that's your approach. Again, it's difficult sometimes because not everyone really is kind of kingdom-wide focused. You know, there's always going to be that element of, oh, okay, you know, we just want to do things for our alliance, right, kind of a thing. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just, again, it comes with its own pros and cons, if you will. So, all right. Even though I've kind of been filling the conversation here while we're waiting for the next round. Some nice skirmishing. I'm filling the void until the next wave of high fives are thrown out. Let's hit them with little winkers, if you know what I mean. Can I winkers here? Psh. Oops, hang on, we'll do this. see what happens. Oh man, I'm shocked. Do I not have my sound effects up? I don't. Rough life, man. Let's do a little bit of music here. I think this might be okay. And I don't know how loud this is going to be. Hopefully it won't be that bad. You guys, I'll have to listen to it on playback. That's one of the things I'm trying. I'd like to really try and do is sometimes I feel like the sound effects when I'm playing it sometimes does not go through, and other times it does go through. It's a very interesting conundrum. Oops, dang, we went too far. No, well, not that far. All right, let's see. Looks like they're still hanging out on that first course meal, if you guys know what I mean. Love it. Oh, let's see. The dwarves. Yeah, perfect. I'm always near this chat, man. That's one great. Ask your big whales how their hospital's doing. Sales, chapter power. These guys are too funny, man. Let's see. Balaron. Yeah, man. Okay, and you know, it's crazy. It's been a minute since I've done a war video, which, man, I don't think I got a screenshot. I'll have to grab one real quick. But yeah, happy I was able to get one here on S2, at least for a little bit. Are we at 18 minutes? Okay, we'll see. Maybe there's going to be a second coming of some PvP. Okay, let's see. It looks like, all right, we're getting some nice replenishment here. Looks like we got RK-0 getting another building. Oh, my little lady. You guys might see her walk in here in a sec. She is ramping up right now. And she's at the bathroom. Okay, we're going to see if she might come in here and say hi. Oh, okay. I'm being told that the baby is heavy for my lady. First off, that's offensive. She's not that fat. It's baby weight. Okay, here we go. All right. I got a minute or two, maybe a little bit longer, because I might get heralded, if you know what I mean, to rock this baby. Oh, there's King Raiden. Looks like Sneak's hanging out too as well. All right, so here we go. We might see a little bit of a thing happening right now. So, okay, so we're RK setting a couple units here to kind of do a little poke. If you're going to poke, you need to poke with numbers, right? Meaning, and let me point out, because there's a couple ways you can play this out, right, when you're playing the poke game. If you're going to poke with numbers, you can either make sure that you are at max distance and then you are going for the units that are sticking out the most, or what you can do is you can push up initially and try to do kind of more of an aggressive poke, maybe not where you're overextending too much, but just where you're kind of showing more of a force, if you will. And then if your opponents try to counter with more units, then what you do is you slide back and you start disengaging a little bit. So like, let's say you have units here and units are here, but then all of a sudden they start kind of moving a little bit forward. Then what you do is you disengage, almost kind of like you're trapping, and then you let them push out a little bit, and then you counter push with more numbers, right? So those are just kind of a few ways that you can really play that one out. But the most important thing is that, like here with yes on, right? You could say yes on is the one who's overextended the most. So you would really want to focus that. Okay, now you switch over to Pharaoh. Now you're kind of focus firing on Pharaoh. You wait for Pharaoh to then retreat. Okay, then maybe you focus on Gogan over here, or the next person that's going to be overextending, right? Making sure that you're paying attention, you're cognizant of your positioning. And then same thing, right? Now you're pushing back, and then you're focusing here on the Emrys and the Madeline, right? Because you want to make sure you're constantly staying out of range of their mages as well. In addition, you should be having units over here, right? Because you can probably fire over this canyon. So again, why make use of the space? Now, I don't know if you could actually move over here, but point is that if you can, make use of the space, take advantage, right? These are important things that we should be doing, right, when we're playing. I also wish there was a way where we can minimize the, not minimize, but where we can like hide these things on the screen, right? So maybe it's just the chat. That would be really cool. If there was a way to do, well, sorry, maybe not just that, the chat, but like your legions would be there and the chat or something, right? So that way it's a little bit more clear. I just like that to be a little bit more kind of PvP friendly, a little more quality of life, so that we just don't accidentally click on something. All right. There we go. And this actually isn't bad here, where you're seeing kind of VM, RK, right? They're spreading a little bit here on the arc. Would obviously like to see a little bit more, but this isn't that bad. Bunching right here, though, for TM, right? You can kind of see where the cluster is happening. A little bit of a spread here, right? And a little bit over here. So this actually isn't that bad. This is actually okay based on the amount of width that they have to work with. But again, I still would like to see this kind of hived cluster a little bit more spread in that regard. All right, little shadow flight going down. Where are we at right now, time-wise? We're at 22 minutes. Okay. All this is coming to hang out right now. You can't. Oh, you gotta look for it. I don't know. I think it's out there. All right, here we go. NASTi's coming back in. House Earth. Let me see what the replenishment looks like. Still decent. I mean, again, they have numbers. I'm just curious why you're not getting a lot of engagement from that group back there, when it probably could be helping out. Decent shot against that burst strike getting thrown down. Another burst strike getting thrown down. That acid breath. Nice AoE DOT damage, right? The damage over time that's being done right there, right? Making sure we're kind of moving out. This is one of the reasons why you want to, like we talk about, right? Spreading out so that we're just not taking all that unnecessary AoE damage, whether that ends up being from DPS standard attack, from AoE heroes, or from artifacts. Nice. Getting a little bit more of an engagement. That counter acid breath getting thrown down there, right there on Epicoro. Looks like there was a Shadow Games that might have been thrown down there. TM and TM02, man, still with a lot of units that are playing this one out. This is nice. Oh, that invulnerable there by Kaneki. I wonder if that was the Divine, not Divine Mercy. What is it? For maybe a Frost Barrier that might have been thrown down. I actually didn't see what that was. It looked like maybe. Nice. Getting a little bit of pushing. All right, I am getting summoned. So we are going to go ahead, and again, it's kind of small battles right now. We're going to be trying to give you guys as much PvP coverage as we can here from S2-1. That is going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think about this fight in the comments down below. What do you think? Again, this is starting Zone 1, so we're going to end up getting a lot more of this. I'm also going to be trying to cover as many of the other starting 1 zones to bring you guys as much action as possible. That is going to do it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.